Hi everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Tami Hoodie Sew Along. Today we're doing the shoulder accent zip for the Tami hoodie. So it's quite a bit of a process, so we're just going to be concentrating on doing that shoulder zip today. So what you need to have for today is you need your front bodice and you need your sleeves, you'll need your zip, and you'll need some iron-on interfacing. So your interfacing should be about 1 inch wide by about 7.5 inches in length. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to iron the interfacing to the wrong side of our front bodice on the right side when we're wearing it. Okay, so if you need to put it up against you so you know, because you know it can get a bit confusing. So this is my right side and I'm just going to make sure that I keep it there, and then I'm going to iron my interfacing directly over the top. Okay. Now when you're ironing on your interfacing, it is a good idea to have something over the top to iron over it. And the other thing is, when you are ironing interfacing, is not to keep going. We should just be pushing firmly with our iron just for a few seconds to make sure that that glue is setting in onto that fabric. Okay. And it should doesn't take long at all. So now once we've done the interfacing on our front bodice, we're going to do the same thing on the right sleeve as well. So obviously we're doing the front right, we need to do the right sleeve. So make sure that you're doing it on the right sleeve. So your sleeves are slightly different. So if you look at them, your sleeve are opposites. So if I put them right sides together, you'll see that the neckline, or the shoulder part, sorry, is higher. So that's the back of your sleeve. The front of your sleeve is slightly lower. So you can see the difference. So you just need to make sure that you're choosing the right sleeve, the right arm to go with that. So that's my left one, and this is my right. And then we're going to do it again on the front part. So making sure that you're looking at where the curve is. The highest point is the back, the lowest point is the front. I'm going to do the same thing with some interfacing. Just making sure that you are putting your interfacing on the right way as well, because otherwise it does leave a little bit of a mess on your iron. So again, just pushing down, it doesn't take very long. And we're almost done, ready to do the next step. More at the bottom here. Okay, so once you've got the interfacing on your right sleeve at the front and the right side of your front bodice, we need to get our pattern piece back out. So on your pattern piece, there is the marking there. So you need to trace that, or get that marking, and you'll need to put it onto your sleeve and onto your front bodice as well. So I actually drew mine just before with my sew line pen, but I'll redo it because the heat, my pen doesn't want to work, the heat has faded it slightly. go on my sleeve, and then I'm doing the same thing for the front. And what we're going to do now is, with our sewing machine, we are going to do a long straight stitch over that line that we've just drawn, that marking. So we're going to go straight down and across, a long straight stitch with our sewing machine on both the front bodice and that sleeve. Let's get going. Okay, so once we've stitched a long straight stitch down interfacing, we're just going to overlock that edge there. Okay, so we've stitched our long stitch across that marking. We've overlocked that edge. What we're now going to do is we're going to do a 45-degree cut in towards this corner here. So we're going to go down on an angle, 45-degree point, making sure that you don't cut through that straight edging stitch. So you're going to do that on both the front bodice and the sleeve. Do that now. So we're just literally pointing our scissors straight to that point on that 45-degree angle, just remembering that you don't want to get through to those stitches. And we're doing it again on our sleeve. Okay, so you've got the little cut of a 45-degree angle this way. Okay, now once we've done that, we're going to fold. Even I had to look at the instructions. We have to fold that opening towards the wrong side of the fabric along that stitching line. So we're going to fold it along there, and I would give it bit of a press to help hold it down. And then we're going to do the same thing on this one. So again, folding towards the wrong side of the fabric along that stitch line, and give it a quick press. Now from there we're going to put our sleeve and our bodice together, so matching right sides together. Okay, and now we're going to straight stitch, so below that zipper opening. Okay, so we're not stitching here, we're going to stitch below. So if I just clip my pieces together for you, and you're going to use a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, And just bear in mind that when you're doing this, that it's not going to be as wide as that zip opening. Okay, so you're going to come along here and you're going to do a 3/8 of an inch and follow that down that way, just with your sewing machine, a straight stitch. Okay, so now that we have sewn together the bottom part below the zip opening, so just making sure that when you have sewn that you haven't gone past that horizontal stitch line also. So you're just going from the bottom of your stitch line all the way down. And once you've done that, you just need to press that seam open. Okay, now the fun begins. We're going to actually start with our zip. So from now, we're going to work with our fabric facing right side up. Okay, so I've got the fabric right side up. I'm going to get my zip and I'm doing right sides together again. So the right side of my zip, the base of that zipper stop at the end is going to go just under your stitch lines that you've gone across. So if I can show you here. Okay, there's the little stitch lines that go across here. It's a bit difficult to kind of hold it upright, but you'll see those stitch lines. So what we're going to do is put in our zip and make sure that your zipper teeth are lining up with that seam as well. So we'll just put that in there. You can pin it in place if you prefer. You could, you can't really glue it because you're about to flip it. So I would just pin it in place. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our fabric around the other way now. So we'll have wrong side up. And we're going to just, so those stitch lines again, we are going to stitch down our zip in place, but you're not going to go past your zipper teeth. So it's a very small stitch line just to secure it in place. So you don't want to go past your zip teeth. So again, just using your sewing machine, and we're just going to sew just over there to secure it in place. Okay, so I'm just going to head over to my sewing machine and sew that in. So after we've sewn that, and I'm going to be totally honest with you, it is quite fiddly. So I know the instructions say, you know, pin it here and then sew from the back. I did that a couple of times and I found I just wasn't getting, it just wasn't going to sit right. So I actually still pinned it and then I turned my fabric up again, and that way I could actually see where my zip stop, the end of the zip stop was, so I wasn't going to break my needle. And you're only really doing like 2, maybe 3 stitches and just back stitching on that as well. So I found it much easier to sew with my zip facing up under my sewing machine rather than doing it from the underside like they suggest. So just bear that in mind. I did do it differently and it worked out, worked out better in my case. You know, try the first time, and if it doesn't work, then have a go and do it again. So once we've got that now, we're going to flip our zip over, and we should have a nice square base now. And I use some of the wash away quilter's tape, and it's up to you. I mean, I've used glue before as well, so really it's whatever will work for you, whatever you've got on hand. So I actually like putting it on my zip rather than on my fabric. So just using whatever you have. Some people just pin them. Whatever will work. So we use this just to keep that zip from moving while you're sewing, so that your finish will be nice and straight and not a wonky zip. And then we just peel this back. Of course it doesn't want to peel today, does it? There we go. On both sides. And then our folded piece goes on nice and even on both sides. Okay, and once we've done that, now we're going to fold it back, so it should sit nice and flat. So remembering those stitch lines that we sewed very early on, one of the very first steps, we are now going to stitch on that same stitch line all the way down on that side. So you've got a nice guide to follow. Just, you're not doing both together, it's just one side to do the zip, and then we're going to go and do the other side to secure the other side of the zip. So let's head over to the machines and get that done. Okay, so now that we've sewn in our zip, you've probably seen me fiddle around with my machine a bit, but because it was in fast play. So when you're sewing, if the clasp is getting in your way of your presser foot, all you need to do is move your clasp down, then sew a little bit, keep your needle down in your fabric, lift your presser foot up, and then zip the clasp around the foot, and then you can continue sewing below that. So once we've done that and it's looking pretty good, we'll just unzip that top bit a bit, and we're going to now just do a basting stitch at the top of the neckline just to secure it all together. So I'll quickly do that for you and then show you the final part. Well, this is the final part, but show you the end of it. Okay, so all we needed to do was to just baste that together at the top where the neckline is. So you're basting your fabric and your zip and over the zip as well. So now that we've got that done, that is all for day 2, because it was a bit of a tricky day with inserting that zip. So the next thing that we're going to start with on day 3 will be finishing our sleeves, and we'll see how we go. We may get up to adding our hoodie. Don't forget, day 4 will be a catch-up day, and then day 5 is the final part of adding our cuffs and our band and our drawstring. So look forward to seeing you all then. I hope this has made sense to you. Shout out if you need some help. Definitely go into the So Unique Fabric group page and ask any questions on the day 2 post if you need any help. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye for now.